How often should you water your strawberries? And what is the best method? Proper maintenance is essential, and part of this is making sure that your strawberries have enough hydration so they don't become water deprived. Strawberries require a delicate balance when it comes to keeping the proper moisture levels. You do not want to overwater them, and you don't want to underwater them. I'm going to help explain some of the things that you need to do to ensure that you get the maximum yield of fruit that you can out of your crops.
My name is Carrie Pratt, and if we haven't met before, I'm married to Trevor and the mother of 2 young adult children, both 21 and 19 years old. We've been living in Sylvan Lake, Alberta for the last 19 years. I'm a financial coach, an entrepreneur, a small business owner, and I love to garden and cook. Last year, I did a video on how to grow strawberries in a rain gutter. Last year, I did a video on how to grow strawberries in a rain gutter system, both the good and the bad. Well, today I want to focus on one of those things specifically, and that is watering issues. Now, I grew them last year and I went away for a week, and it was the hottest time, and I love my husband, but he doesn't water my vegetables or fruits while I'm gone. And so when I got home, I realized that my strawberries had had way too much heat trauma, and I wondered how I could fix that for the following year. So this year I spent some time, I learned about drip irrigation and how much water strawberries need, and so I put a lot of effort into learning about this, and I want to share it with you. So I'm going to take you into rain gutter strawberries and how to make sure that they are watered adequately in your setting, because these strawberries are south facing, and so they get the heat of the sun all day long, and they need to be dry in the night and wet during the day. So how do you achieve that effectively? One thing that I need to make sure that I still do is add some mulch, some straw to the top of these so it helps to retain the moisture. Anyways, that's a different topic that we're going to get into. But one thing I want you to stay to the end of this video is I'm going to tell you how much money you can save by growing your own strawberries rather than going to the grocery store and buying them there. Yes, there is some great benefits for growing your own strawberries, no matter how many strawberry plants you have. So let's go look into the issue of keeping your strawberries watered in the rain gutter strawberry system. I'd moved the old strawberry plants from last year into my garden boxes and was ready to put new plants into the eaves troughing for this summer. Strawberry root systems are quite shallow, so they don't need a lot of depth, and that's why the rain gutter system works. But this affects how much water you supply them with and how deep to go. A root system that does not extend deep into the ground can become withered and dry out faster because the plants get too hot and aren't able to hold that moisture. Went to my local greenhouse and found 2 varieties of the berry basket strawberry plant, both in hot pink and white flowers. These are well suited to baskets and eaves troughs. They're ever-bearing, compact, bushy plants, bear large, deep red, full-flavored berries until the first frost. They need to be watered as needed all season long to keep the soil evenly moist, and feed with an all-purpose fertilizer to ensure that you have a bountiful harvest. I bought 6 of those plants, and then I also bought a hanging basket because, my goodness, those strawberries just called out to me, and some were ready to go right there from the basket. This variety needs spacing of about 18 inches between the plant. The height grows a maximum of 8 inches, width is 24, and it needs full sun. I just loved that they were pink. Now, when I pull them out of the pots, I make sure I do that carefully, but when I looked at it, I see that it's root bound. I'm going to take off the majority of those roots because I know that root bound strawberries do not grow very well. So I'm going to take them over, put them into the rain gutter, and before I put them into their spot, I'm going to split the root also in half. Yes, it's going to be a little trauma on the plant, and I understand that, but I want it to be able to know that it can spread out in either direction and have all the growth space that it needs in order to get the root system it needs, but also get the nutrients
and to be well situated while still having the crown above the soil, because that's important when you plant your plants, is how they're situated in the soil. So I decided to alternate the colors between pink and white just to add a little bit of color to the side of the planter as well while the berries are trying to grow. And every pot that I looked at, you're going to see that they are deeply root bound, and that just happens with growing in the nursery. So your job is to make sure that you can correct that problem quickly and help the strawberries have a greater chance to grow. And so I know it looks like there's a little trauma that I'm putting on the plant, but I promise you it's for its best. There's got to be an analogy behind that sometimes things that hurt can help us grow. So one thing you need to recognize is that strawberries have root systems that are quite shallow, and this affects how much water you supply them with and how deep to go. With a root system that does not extend deep into the ground, they can become withered and dry out faster because the plants get too hot and aren't able to hold moisture. Having shallow roots, however, does provide some benefits. You can test your water needs easier because of this. There are a few ways to test how much water they need. This is the easiest way. Simply feel around your plants. Touch the soil and see if it's dry or not with one of your fingers. Strawberry plants do not enjoy erratic watering. Getting on a schedule is vital for them to succeed. During the time your berries are beginning to grow and starting to bear fruit, they'll need an approximate amount of 1 to 2 inches of water every 7 days. Newer plants may be hydrated at a rate of 1 inch of water 4 times a month to jumpstart their growth. When dealing with newer, fresher plants, they can be watered from above. The best way to water your strawberry plants is with a system utilizing a drip irrigation method or a soaker type hose. This is an essential way to keep the berries from becoming rot-ridden or from getting too wet. And so I'm going to figure out how to do that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on my fails, but I was at the dollar store and saw these and thought it would work great. Now I am going to need 6 for each one of those plants, which seemed like a lot, and I wasn't sure how long it was going to last, but the system seemed to work great. Now, one of the challenges with doing dollar store is you never know quite how it's going to work or if it's going to work, and you can't return the dang things once you buy them. This was a fail. I could never find a bottle that fit, and I tried so many different types of bottles that would try to work, and this was not the few of them. We tried even more. We drank a lot of liquid that week trying to find a container that would work properly and seal appropriately. When I finally thought I found one, it still didn't seal properly, and so water spilled up and over, and it watered those strawberries way too fast. This did not work. So I researched how to do a drip irrigator from a plastic bottle, and the tip that was told was to put the rope into a straw so that it didn't heat up. Well, it worked, but again, the water and the sun did not help the system, and it didn't work effectively, and so I couldn't guarantee that it was going to give enough water to the strawberry plants as we went along. And so tried this method, and again it was going to be a lot of bottles for the system, and to keep it filled I wasn't sure it was going to last a week while I was gone on vacation. And so again, this system may work for indoor plants, and I watched a lot of videos and did a lot of research on it, and it does work for indoor plants. It does not work for outdoor plants, especially when they are on the south-facing side of your building. It was time to get Trevor involved because I needed to use some power tools and cut some things, make some holes in other items, and wanted to make sure that we were doing this project together. Now, this is a step of what not to do. This silicone did not work. We wanted to use it to plug up the end of the hose, also to use it to seal the hole in the bucket that we were going to use. It didn't work. So this is a list of things not to do so that you don't make the same mistakes we did. You might as well learn from our mistakes, because we are always trying to find the easiest way to do that, and then you can get to your projects faster. So what we found on Amazon was this faucet attachment that we were able to drill a hole in the bucket to, and so the faucet would attach to the end of our hose, which we had an old hose, and we were going to cut off a portion of that. So we knew the silicone that we had wasn't going to work, and so we wanted to find something that maybe we could stop it with. Trevor keeps a container full of odds and ends bolts that he gets from every project, and so he actually had one that fit perfectly. We thought we'd also use a hose clamp in order to keep it nice and tight, but we couldn't get the hose clamp we had on hand tight enough, and so it ended up not even needing to be used. I used a fine drill tip and drilled holes into the hose about 2 inches apart from each other, so that I had adequate amount of water coming out and I could slow it down by how fast it came out. If you don't water your strawberry plant enough, the root system can become affected. Photosynthesis activity is greatly affected by water stress. Water stress is basically not having enough water to grow strawberry plants properly. Leaves grow fastest during a 5-hour period of time that starts approximately an hour before the sun sets. When a strawberry plant is lacking water, the leaves don't grow at a rate that is sufficient to plump and delicious strawberries. Plants that are watered properly have much bigger leaves than water-stressed strawberry plants. When a strawberry plant has not been watered enough, there can be a huge reduction in the number of flowers that are produced, how many fruits are produced, and the size of strawberries. There can be a loss of 80% in the amount of fruit produced if your strawberry plants are severely dehydrated. They also tend to ripen sooner and are smaller when they are underwatered. When a plant looks like it's wilting, it can be a sign that you have put too much water on it. Plants do need oxygen and water to survive. However, there is an area between the soil particles in the ground. This is where the oxygen comes in and fills this area. The plant can actually suffocate because of lack of air pockets. It may look like wilting is the effect of not having enough water, but it can actually be the sign of too much water. Leaves can also turn brown or yellow when there's too much water in the group system. If you look at the tips of the leaves and they have brown tinge to them, they may be oversaturated. When there's too little of an amount of water, the leaves are dry and can feel crispy to the touch. When they are yellow, they can also show plants that are way too saturated as well. If they're growing slower than normal, this is another sign that they may be drowning. So this is what our drip irrigation looked like. Drip irrigation is the slow, even application of low pressure water to soil and plants using plastic tubing, drip tape, or this hose in the case, placed right near the soil surface or on the soil surface within the rooting zone. Drip irrigation systems must be carefully designed and installed so that they operate with proper efficiency. And so that's what we spent a lot of time doing, is watching how much water was coming out to ensure that the plants were getting the needed amount of water to not flood them, to give them too much, and not to give them too little, which took a little bit of time to get that figured out. And here was one of the big culprits that made it a little harder to figure out. Harper figured that this was her brand new water bowl for the outside, and it was just at her level.
Okay, that's maybe more water than we need, but that's pretty sweet. Okay. Yeah, let's just drip, like even probably less than that. Yep. We'll watch over the next couple of days and see how much more it needs. Oh, that's awesome. The strawberries are going to be so happy. These ones are coming out pretty strong on that one, but I'm not going to be able to. It's fine. I wouldn't worry about it too much. My strawberries got too much heat. Now, same plant, one did great, one struggled. It just was when they both began to grow and how much stress it had on the system. At the beginning of the week, they got water with the system, but I do have to admit the water did run out before I got home. And so that's the trauma that this strawberry went through. Although on the same plant, this one looks great. Now, there is nothing that compares to eating a fresh strawberry plucked off your very own plant. It just tastes delicious. Oh, there's another one here. This might be the greatest problem, is that we walk along all day long and eat the strawberries as we find them ripening. So never do we gather enough at once to make one of those delicious strawberry desserts that I have been keeping the recipes. Growing your own strawberries helps you save money by allowing you to get higher quantities for a much better price, but it can also be healthier. Studies show that people who grow their own fruits and veggies are more likely to eat fruits and veggies, a great source of essential nutrients. The walking, bending, lifting, pulling required for good gardening is also a great form of exercise, which helps boost your immune system and can prevent
ailments like cardiovascular disease and diabetes.
There's an Alberta summer storm coming this way, so I need to wrap this up real quick. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I am loving creating this content for you. It is a growth for me. It's something that's not in my comfort zone, but I appreciate you following me and supporting me in this journey. If you enjoyed this video, you'd probably really enjoy the first video I did on rain gutter strawberries. And you can click on that link right about here or here, wherever it happens to show up. Anyways, thanks for joining me this week, and I will see you all next week.